Alice Guy-Blaché started her career as a secretary for a camera manufacturing and photography company. She quickly learned the components of photography. Her position as secretary led to her meeting with many high-class clients. The company Blaché worked under had a change of management in 1895 after a court decision. Felix Max Richard sold the company to 4 men, one of which would be Leon Gaumont. Blaché received a promotion under new management. She still had secretarial duties, but the workload was even heavier. It didn't last long, as the company was sued and prohibited from manufacturing cameras. This led to the company shutting down. However, Gaumont wouldn't let this stand. With the respect of his clients and the support of Blaché, Gaumont established a new company, Gaumont AC. The Lumiere brothers approached Gaumont to witness the presentation of a new camera that projects motion pictures. Blaché accompanied him to the presentation, and together with representatives of different companies, they witnessed the kickstart of video. Gaumont saw the next big thing to put in the hands of his clients, but Alice Guy-Blaché was immediately intrigued by the possibilities. She was the daughter of an editor. Blaché grew up on stories, and with Lumiere's technology, she saw a new way of storytelling. Guy-Blaché proposed the idea for a narrative film to Gaumont. He was hesitant, calling the idea girlish. Looking back at the moment, Alice later says in her memoir that Gaumont shouldn't have allowed her permission if he knew others could have done it at the time. He permitted her to write, direct, and produce a film by herself only if she wouldn't fall behind on her already busy workload. She had the time after finishing the morning mail distribution until 4:30 in the evening to work on the film. The backdrop had been painted by a fantasist neighbor, and the actors were Alice and a friend. Almost 1 minute long, this whimsical story would be her debut. The film was so successful that Gaumont allowed her to try again. The Fairy of the Cabbages would later be referenced in Blaché's 1912 New York Tribune article stating that the film was the first photoplay. There was controversy over who created the first narrative film because The Cabbage Fairy had many versions, the original having been lost. 22 years old, Blaché would become Gaumont's head of film production. She produced and oversaw more than 100 films during this time. Her employment would come to a short halt, however, when she wedded to Herbert Blaché. Together, they moved to the States, where Herbert Blaché was appointed the production manager of Gaumont's U.S. location. In 1910, Alice Guy-Blaché and her husband established the Solax Company, the largest film studio in America before the age of Hollywood, in New York. Blaché would be the first woman to own her own studio. Solax would quickly become very successful. Within 2 years, the Blachés earned enough profits to construct a better facility in Fort Lee, New Jersey, joining other growing film companies. Guy had many troubles in the industry, ranging from misappreciated credit to borderline robbery. In one instance, Guy was hired by World Film Corporation to create a film adaptation of The Lure, a controversial play that was declined by every other director offered the job, and for good reason. The job went south for Blaché when her employer contacted her husband to tell them that Guy's work was mediocre and offered Blaché's husband a deal that would reimburse the Blachés but not share the royalties of the so-called risky film. Alice Guy was upset when her husband accepted the offer in place of her. Later, Alice would be approached by the employer saying, "I have good news to tell you. The Lure is one of our best money getters. In 2 months, it has brought us $300,000 in profits." Like most women in cinema today, Blaché had to fight for her credits. In her memoirs, she often spoke of correcting people on who produced the film because much of the credit would go to male actors or her male assistants. She was revolutionary for her time period, although many women took over creative jobs during early cinema. Unlike the other women, she wasn't pushed out of her career by men. She was successful establishing her own film company, Solax, and being involved in the production of more than 700 movies. Alice Guy-Blaché was an inspiring woman and an unsung pioneer of cinema whose credit is misappreciated. She established a new frontier for women in the film industry and helped birth the narrative films we see today.